we take that serious, that there is a clear element of equity and sustainability. It is not just about, it is not sufficient for research organizations to say, we need this open access. There needs to be that support to make that happen. And I think especially a couple of the presentations indeed talked about the different types of models that we are pursuing to make sure that these are sustainable models. I'm going to take your comment as just again pointing out to all of us here on the stage that this is very important and that this is unresolved, that there are still serious issues. We have also had hints in some of the presentations that it is entirely possible in the current models that open science might become itself exclusionary, because not everyone just has the funding for RPCs. We need to take that serious, so I thank you for that comment. I do want to also gather some other questions from the room. We have one here in front.
Yes, I have two questions. One is how you're going to meet challenge of multilingual scientific knowledge. Mm-hmm. If you know that the most renewed journals are in English. Another thing is you know that now the process of evaluate most of the scientists are based on quantity and not in quality. And so there is a problem of that if you publish very much is better than you publish less in quality.
Yeah, indeed. Perhaps I can look at the panelists. Multilingualism. I'm seeing two, but yes, please, Marco.
I can maybe try to combine the two. I think multilingualism is a very relevant issue. As an agency, we are in one of the working group of COARA, which is addressing the problem of multilingualism. First, I think there is a value in having a lingua franca also, because of course it makes it more easy to disseminate your knowledge. But on the other hand, I think that multilingualism is also an important value. You ask how you promote it, for instance. Well, I can say that, for instance, in our evaluation procedures now, we affirm very firmly that evaluation, and that this is the linkage with the other questions of yours, should be based on quality. So it should be independent on various other factors, of course, from where you publish, so from the journal in which you publish, but should also be independent from the language you are using to publish. So the quality should be stated as an independent characteristic of the publication without reference to other things that does not have to do intrinsically with quality. This, I think, may be a way of emphasizing more in our evaluation procedures the importance of multilingualism. Myself, I remain a little bit skeptical, especially, I must say, especially in STEM disciplines, about why you really need multilingualism. On the other hand, I can understand better in social sciences and humanities, but less so in STEM. That's my personal point of view, of course, that you can criticize.
I think Laurence also, yes.
Yes, thank you for the comment and the questions. For the principle of quantity and quality, this is addressed by the COARA. And the COARA, it has been said, but very quickly, as we didn't have a lot of time, it's a European initiative, but it's growing wider and it's open to any country. So you can see that there are other countries than the European countries that endorse COARA principles. And COARA principle, and you can see it in my presentation, we need to address quality better than quantity, and one of the criteria can be not to have an exhaustive list of publication, which is something that will only have a number of publication, but you address only 5 of your best work, what you think is the best work. And for example, you can even not mention the article of the publisher, only the content, that the impact or the scientific findings that you may evaluate yourself as the one that is interesting. Talking about language diversity, this is something that in France, and maybe Johan will talk about it also, but in France we try to address it, because now we can do translation very easily, and we are working on, for example, getting the information from other sources that are not in English or in French, in order to have a unbiased, can we say, unbiased picture of the scientific information, and also trying to address what we are thinking in multiple languages. For example, when you will see the roadmap that we have released, we try to have them in 3 languages, but we need to do more than 3 languages, of course. And when we do a conference, we try to speak in the local language. When we are invited, for example, in South America or South Africa or another country than France, we try to do some words in the language that in the language country that is inviting us, and that to have a translation that is in the same time as the speakers. And sometimes we try to have it in 3 languages, but it takes money. Nobody can. We need to have money to do such things, and we need to have tools, and then we need to have tools that we trust in order to translate what we are, what is available everywhere. And there's something I wanted to say, which is nothing to do with the question, that it will take time. But don't discourage, don't get discouraged, because we were speaking about open access in the year of, we can say in 1919, but then in 2000, and then it's now like a normal thing. But we have to address all the other issues like research data, code, equity, diversity, and we will manage, but we have to believe that and still continue to work on it, and not get discouraged, because it's a high mountain, but we will eventually climb it.
Thank you for that answer. I think I am aware that we're standing between everyone and lunch. So we have time for one more question for the panel. If anyone would like to ask the final... excellent.
Hello, thank you for all the speakers. My question is how can open science can be applied on artificial intelligence, so each one can support the other? Thank you.
A big question, to say the least. How open science and artificial intelligence can interact and make to work for the research community. Laurence, you have your hand raised. Anyone else? Johan?
Can you hear me?
No. No.
Thank you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, that's a big question indeed. There's many things we don't know yet. I mean, AI can be used in a good way. For instance, for the problem of multilingualism. One of the things that you can use AI and ChatGPT very well for If you don't speak English very well or write English very well, you can have your article rewritten by ChatGPT and then check it. You have to check it, whether that really expresses what you want to say. And that can be very useful. I mean, people have done that. And I think that is a great equalizer. That's good to do. I think in many other ways, one should be very wary of AI, because what most people don't understand is that AI actually does not understand what it does. Right? It puts words together as what is called a stochastic parrot. So it basically just strings words together on the basis of probability, not on the basis of semantic understanding what it is stringing together. That's why you have things like hallucinations and so on. So you cannot really count on it, for instance, for making an accurate synthesis of the literature. So you can say, okay, you know, take this body of work and give me an overview. You cannot really be sure that that overview is content-wise correct. So that's it's very important. Another problem that we have, of course, is also CCBY. So imagine you do that, you make this review of the literature. How AI is not capable of correctly attributing the ideas to the articles they get it from, because there is no system in place for that. And that's actually a problem, because CCBY says you have to be able to attribute the ideas to specific people, right? So that's something that needs to be addressed. That's not addressed yet. Another thing that AI is good for, by contrast, is just analyzing data. So as long as it's not about contents, but just about data and just about numbers, crunching numbers, that works. That will work. So we have to be extremely careful and also devise protocols and procedures for how to properly use AI in our work. And of course, that's work that is just starting. It's something that we will do in Coalition as going forward. But you know, I mean, everybody sort of thinks that AI is the sky is the limit and everything will be possible, but it's not really, and we really need to think very, very carefully on how to use it going forward.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you, Johan. I'm going online just for a minute. Justine, you have your hand raised. You wanted to come in on that question.
Okay, sorry. So on this question of artificial intelligence, the Académie des Sciences is strongly committed to supporting multilingualism in scientific literature. And any interested reader can submit a translation of an article published in our journals, and we rely heavily on artificial intelligence for this. We offer a software pre-translation of articles which user can adapt. And so we think that analytical artificial intelligence is really an opportunity for open science. As for generative artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, it's less certain, but publishers have adapted to the amount of open access articles available, which maybe helps the authors to copy their own work, and we could answer that with a software that detects plagiarism, and I think we can do the same for artificial intelligence that grows in the new submissions of manuscript. I'm sure that open science publishers can undertake solutions to work with it and only keep the good things that it can bring for multilingualism, but also for many other.
Yeah, thank you, Justine. Thank you for that answer. Unfortunately, Laurence, very quickly.
Just a comment. If we want to relate open science and artificial intelligence, we need to have trust in these tools. So we need to have quality data, curated data that provide information to the tools, and we need to have open source codes to an open source tools. And this is how it can relate to open science with this principle to be transparent, to have the sources, and to, if we can connect the sources to the information that we get. And this is how, and have quality data. That means also the text must be enriched and qualified. That means you add information to the text, so it's semantically more information. That's what's my little comment.
Thank you. And unfortunately, we have well and truly run out of time at this point. I can only thank the panelists. I can thank the audience for bearing with us. Basically, to summarize the whole thing, I'm also looking online. Thank you, Anna, Justine, for bearing with us. We started this panel discussion saying open science has become a much more comprehensive ambition. It's become more and more ambitious because it has to be ambitious. So thank you also for that last question where generative AI was mentioned again, saying just as we're becoming more ambitious, bigger challenges starting to emerge, and how do we make them work for us is, I think, a big question. That being said, thank you for the audience. Thank you to all my panelists. This was lovely. I think we have tried to give a lot of information, and I'm sure that during the lunch there's still a lot to unpack. I'm going to take the liberty of telling the audience you can come to the panelists during lunch and ask more questions, if they'll forgive me for that.